You are now watching Maine Wire TV with your host, Tom Shattuck, featuring Maine Wire Editor-in-Chief Steve Robinson and the indispensable John Featherston.
So here we are, Augusta, Maine. We are watching the formalities of the 2026 State of the Union. Governor Janet Mills will be here in just a moment. Right now, they're just kind of going through the pomp and circumstance, roll call, and at some point, this is my first Maine state of the state. I don't know if we say the Pledge of Allegiance or if any acknowledgement of the country or the Stars and Stripes is done. I do see an American flag there.
There's going to be a presentation of a child to the altar of Moloch that will be sacrificed, and then the governor will come up and bathe herself in the blood and then proceed to give a State of the State address. That's typically how we do it.
Yes, that's what I heard. It would be something like that. We will see here, Janet Mills. We talked earlier today on Maine Wire TV about what might happen here, and the consensus was with Graham and me and John Featherston, and we wouldn't get anything from Janet Mills but an all-out attack on Susan Collins and ICE and Trump. Collins, ICE, Trump, Collins, ICE, Trump, and that's going to be it, because she wants to make this a national thing. This is really a campaign at this point. This is a campaign. This is a campaign appearance. This is a paid infomercial, really, for the Mills campaign. And this will be clipped in 1,000 different ways to fundraise for her as we go forward here. And she wants to get ahead of everybody else in the pack, including Graham Plattner, who is trying to establish himself as the most, shall we say, passionately against or a passionate opposition for Donald Trump, and it's certainly now ICE, as everybody is seeing the most recent turnaround in Minnesota. So I don't know if this is an official swearing in of new members or what they're doing exactly here, or maybe just a photo op. But I don't expect that there's going to be too much.
Very green tie that guy's wearing.
Yeah, officially, what they have to do is they have to call together the Senate from the House, and then there's some official constitutional rigmarole that they have to follow in order to get the governor in there. So there's a little bit of a wind up to it, which is anticlimactic with the governor speaking. But that's what you're seeing now. Is then they're invited back in by the sergeant at arms. So the whole process is. Your friend, John, your friend. The entire thing is prescribed by the Constitution.
Of the state of Maine, Attorney General Aaron Fry, State Treasurer Joe Perry, and State Auditor Matt Dunlap. Will they please rise and accept the greetings of the convention?
Hold on to the rail, Matt.
That's funny. Oh, I see Paul Mills. I haven't seen Paul Mills since we were in his office asking about his Chinese mafia friends. He's looking a little haggard.
Please recognize in the gallery Maine tribal leaders: Chief William Nichols, Passamaquoddy Tribe of Indian Township; Chief Sheila McCormick, Mi'kmaq Nation.
Not friends of Janet Mills, by the way.
No.
The blood feud between the Mills administration, I mean, Janet Mills in particular, and the tribal nations is historic. I'm actually surprised that they're there, because when they did the State of the Tribes address, the first time in 15 years that the tribes were allowed to come into the House chamber and give speeches of their own, Janet Mills skipped. She was like the only top politician in the state of Maine who just cold shoulder. Nah, no time for the tribes.
What a snub.
Danelle Malloy, Chancellor of the University of this Maine.
I still think that the gambling thing is going to be a blemish going forward.
By the way, did you just hear that, Tom? Danelle Malloy, the Chancellor of the University of Maine system, talking about failing into a nice, cushy job. I think from your previous radio career, you're familiar with his sordid tenure as the governor of Connecticut.
Very much so. As a matter of fact, it's funny you mentioned the governor of Connecticut and the Connecticut State Assembly. In the Massachusetts General Court, as a matter of fact, Because if there's one thing you know
Also,
from
please
State of the
recognize in the
State
gallery members of the governor's
addresses
cabinet, commissioners,
is that
and
this
department
evening
heads.
begins
Bill
this
Dowdy,
afternoon.
Laura Fortman,
And so I look for the
Williams,
Speaker of the House to be
Brendan
especially
Mason,
passionate with that gavel, John's friend,
Carl Wilson,
today,
Billy
because the
Schulman,
boys have had themselves a
Jared
day.
Duggan,
Generally, that's what's
John
fair to
Bush,
say
Randall Little,
in these
Randall Little,
halls of
Mike
the
Rosa,
legislature. They
Dick
don't.
Durham, and Diane
Anytime you have to
Sutton.
stay past 5 p.m., you're staying. And so we'll see. We'll see how that resonates.
Yeah, well, I think if there was ever a proposal to put a breathalyzer machine on those little vote buttons, it would be rejected soundly. I think maybe nothing would ever get passed. They'd never get a quorum if you had to blow through a breathalyzer before you could vote.
In Connecticut, they actually opened up a nightclub in the vestibule of one of the garages. It was closed off to the public. This is during COVID. So they just turned it into a nightclub, which was a heavily populated nightclub. There's very famous footage of one of the Connecticut state senators getting up to the podium and needing assistance after slurring for a little bit. She later, this same woman later launched her car one city block in Connecticut after another fundraiser. There was a lot of that happening, and that's not unique to any state legislature. These people tend to, if you're a bartender in the area, or if you're a bartender who they've hired, it's usually a good function for you because a lot of these people are tipping well. I've found, at least in Massachusetts.
Oh, state lawmakers? You think state lawmakers tip well? These guys are throwing around quarters like they're manhole covers.
Well, I would say
that might be the case in other states, but not in Maine.
I found that in the tradition of 25 years ago when I was bartending in Boston, the Boston Irish politician Democrats were thorough, very thorough in every single way. And as a matter of fact,
will come to order.
Well, here we go. We're moving now.
Chair recognizes the senator from Cumberland, Senator Carney.
So we have to do the whole pretend dignity thing and introduce everybody back into the chamber and pretend like this is a solemn occasion.
That the Honorable Janet T. Mills, Governor of the State of Maine.
Here, I'll give us a little bit more audio.
Justice Valerie Stanville will attend fourth.
Why does this picture look like it's taken
Chair,
in
here's the
1972?
message, and thanks the committee.
Because all the lawmakers have been breathing in that chamber, and there's like a thick coat of goo on the lenses. They need to get someone up there with a lens wipe and clean them off.
So is this prop bet time now or no? Because I have a few things I want to put out there.
Yeah, it should have been maybe earlier. We should have come up with our bingo cards. I bet you're not going to hear about the $46 million in overbilling the feds just found in the child autism program for the year 2023, because that little bit of money that the feds are going to claw back basically throws into disarray anything that she says she wants to do tonight with her time left in office. Usually the governors come out and say, we're gonna stop heroin addiction. We're gonna stop crime. We're gonna make our schools better. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. And all of that goes out the window when you're looking at the federal government clawing back $23 million in fraudulently spent Medicaid money. And I would say 23 million, that's like, 1% of what the total amount of fraud will be when a rigorous investigation is conducted. So that's a curveball. I don't think that she was planning on getting right before her State of the State address. But given where we are in the legislative session and how much or how little time she has left, I would expect this is going to be more about trying to put a shine on the turd. She's going to talk about all the things that she's accomplished. We might even hear about how she kept us all safe during COVID-19, and she funded the schools to 55%, and she's taken a bold stand against President Trump to keep boys and girls sports. She's going to try and lay out the resume, a preview of the resume that she hopes to stack up against Graham Plattner and eventually Senator Collins.
Will we hear the word gateway?
We will not hear the word gateway. For some reason, I do not think she's going to talk about the Office of New Americans and her friend Tarlan Amadov, who had to be run out of office because of his anti-Armenian bigotry. I don't think we're going to hear about Abdullahi Ali. And I'd be surprised if Ali was watching from wherever he's hiding in Kenya. Actually, I would be surprised if he's even hiding in Kenya. He might have crossed the border into Somalia at this point because his face has been plastered all over Kenya's biggest newspapers. It's remarkable. We got newspapers in Kenya to cover Abdullahi Ali's travails before the Bangor Daily News or the Press Herald. How remarkable is that? Maybe she'll talk about giving another $2.4 million to the Bangor Daily News or another $120,000 to the Press Herald.
Do we get a moment of silence for the fallen in Minnesota?
Yeah, you know what? That's actually that's a good prop bet. I would not bet against that. I think you could probably see something like that. Maybe a pour one out for all the rapists and child molesters, thieves and murderers who have been deported back to their homelands. I know she's very sad about that. She'd prefer that they stay living in taxpayer-funded housing here in Maine. That's the moment of silence is certainly coming.
We talked about it earlier, but Steve, do you think she goes after Collins tonight in this speech too?
Not by name. I don't think she'll go after her by name.
I would hope not.
I think that she'll.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, she's clearly is doing things that are out of character because she's been dragged into this race by Chuck Schumer. I don't think that she would go after Senator Collins by name. She's not the one running that Twitter account that's attacking Senator Collins. She's got, paid staffers around her. She probably doesn't even know how to log into her Twitter account. But I do think that she might talk about, the failures in Washington. There's lots of euphemisms that you could use to attack Senator Collins without coming at her directly. Establishment politicians, blah, blah, blah. It rings a little hollow considering this lady's had a government job for her entire life. Like, I don't know when she's gone a year without a government paycheck, from DA to state lawmaker to attorney general to governor. I mean, she's been, living off the taxpayer for a long, long time. So the career politician stuff will ring a little hollow.
Well, a lot of elected people have told me that she's very smart. Now, candidly, I don't see it. But is that because, she's older and she lost her fastball? Or, what do you think, Steve? Is she smart?
Yeah, I mean, she's smart, like Machiavellian smart. I think that she's relationally aggressive and she knows how to be mean and nasty and get her way. I don't think she has any fixed beliefs other than wanting to accumulate more power. If you look at Governor Mills when she was running in a competitive Democrat primary the first time around, she was the moderate. She was the centrist. She was not the radical far left politician that she's become. Even back in 2022, when she was running against Governor LePage, LePage and Janet Mills essentially had the same abortion policy. They both said that they did not want to alter Maine's abortion policy from the way it had been for since 1993. She, of course, flip-flopped. She lied about that. She was lying the whole time. She immediately came out in support of 9-month abortions. She's been historically pretty pro-law enforcement. And so now she's turned on a dime and is saying that Maine law enforcement shouldn't cooperate with ICE. And she's also supported a number of measures that law enforcement in Maine haven't supported. So she's very flexible when it comes to her principled stands. She's going to take a principled stand wherever it might help her, grow or accumulate power. But in terms of her intelligence, yeah, I think she's smart. Smart as in devious. They all have to be in order to get into a position of power like this.
I don't know her comms team, but I would think that you've got.
They're not smart. They're all a bunch of dummies.
Or her senior advisor.
They're advisors. Yeah, no, she's surrounded by dummies and brats. All you need to know about the people who are surrounding her is the hissy fit that Jeremy Kennedy, the chief of staff, threw down. So I guess, Tom, this was before you came on as editor, but this was during the infamous clash between Donald Trump and Janet Mills when all the governors were down in D.C. There was a secondary clash to the one that captured all the attention, and that was involving her chief of staff, Jeremy Kennedy, who is the husband of the assistant majority leader, Matt Moonen, Democrat from Portland. And there was a meeting of all the chiefs of staff, and one of the guys from the Trump administration is, doing his opening remarks, and Jeremy just raises his hand and stands up and says, what the president did to my boss just wasn't appropriate. And the guy was like, well, he's the president of the United States, and you're going to lose money if you don't comply with Title IX. And Jeremy started shouting, said, "You're an a-hole," and stormed out of the room. But he forgot to grab his bag. So he stormed out of the room and then had to wait awkwardly on the outside of the door to this hotel conference room while the entire breakfast and meeting happened. And then later, everyone's filtering out, looking like, is that the guy who threw a hissy fit and ran out in a huff? And then he had to walk back into the guy who he was screaming at and grab his bag and leave. So a very awkward moment. But that, for a lot of people who are close to Maine politics, kind of personifies how the Mills administration operates, how it has operated for the last 7 years. There's a lot of attitude. There's a lot of staffers who think that they're big and tough and powerful, but they're not nearly as smart as they think. They just haven't had really any competition or resistance, and they have a totally compliant media, which makes sense when you consider the amount of money that they've been feeding to their lapdog media, particularly at the Bangor Daily News. I'll say again, Bangor Daily News, $2.4 million in no-bid contracts from the Mills administration, and they are compliant lapdog media.
So, Steve, what happens when a Republican gets elected in November and then gets sworn in January? What happens to that $2.4 million? What happens to the Bangor Daily News?
That's already spent. That money is spent and gone. The Bangor Daily News never got any government money when LePage was in office. The Governor Mills was the first one to give them no-bid contracts.
The convention will be in order.
Maybe they survive. I don't know. They're effectively a nonprofit at this point.
Make way, make way, make way for Her Excellency, the Governor and Commander-in-Chief of the state of Maine, the Honorable Janet T. Mills, and the Chief Justice of the Maine Supreme Judicial Court, Valerie Stanfield.
Looks like we're getting ready to rumble.
The chair is pleased to welcome the Honorable Janet T. Mills, Governor of the state of Maine, accompanied by the Honorable Valerie Stanfield, Chief Justice of the Maine Supreme Judicial Court.
Wow. Nice new hairdo from Miss Mills.
The camera on a tripod being rolled behind her. I wonder if that is Maine Public or Mills for Senate.
Yeah, I'm sure the Mills campaign didn't have any problems accessing the House chamber.
She looks a lot different than she did just 36 hours ago. No?
Yeah, maybe they're using the body double.
Like
at the risk of commenting on a woman's fashion choices, I'll say that the green kind of blends into that curtain behind her. I wouldn't have gone with green. I would have gone with blue.
And accept the greetings of the convention.
Still loving that tie. That's a nice honor for that young man, though. I mean, that's a good thing.
The chair would request Governor Janet T. Mills to please step forward and address the joint convention.
By the way, that's Maddie Daughtry, who received $500,000 in Thrive loans from Fame for her 3-person brewery. It's a lot of cheddar for a 3-person beer company. No wonder she's smiling.
Thank you.
That's a worse hair color than Trump gets. What are you doing there?
What's in that glass? What's she drinking up there?
Madam President, Mr. Speaker, Madam Chief Justice, Mr. Attorney General, Mr. Treasurer, Mr. Auditor, Chief Nicholas, Chief McCormick, Chief Bassett, members of my cabinet. members of the 132nd legislature, and friends and members of my extended and beloved family, and Maine people watching and listening at home. On July 4th, 1976, shortly after 4:30 a.m., about 500 farmers stood in the darkness before the dawn. And when the first rays of the rising sun shone on Mars Hill, they cheered and raised the flag as the first Americans to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the founding of this nation. A celebration that began in Mars Hill soon stretched from coast to coast as millions of people expressed their love for our country after years of division and difficulties. Shootings at Kent State had rocked the nation. The Vietnam War had finally come to an end, and Americans looked forward to peace in our time. Our country had survived the national scandal of Watergate and had put behind us the crimes and cover-ups of those who valued political loyalty over their duty to the courts and to the Constitution.
I wrote Watergate in quotes.
One observer watching the crowds that July 4th day in 1976 said proudly, "The backbone of America is out there."
More quotes.
As the Wabanaki people know, our backbone here in Maine is the mountains from which we draw our common strength and fortitude. We are the product of many hills.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we're going to see this in a bunch of commercials. Oh, my goodness. That camera for her, definitely. I guess she's going the lofty route. I thought that she...
There we go.
This very Capitol building towers over the grounds of Capitol Park, where Governor
But the metaphor doesn't even make any sense. Our backbone is the mountain?
The boys of Maine,
like, what are you talking about?
To preserve the Union and end the horrible practice of slavery. And from this place, we too can see, as did those courageous men, the quiet prominence of Howard Hill, which looks down on us today, and which forms the rugged skyline of this capital city. Every part of Maine dares us ever to climb, to be discontent with the flat spaces and plains, and seek higher ground at every turn.
What are we watching?
I know I'm inclined to not like this, but this just seems grotesque.
Has she told us what the state of the state is yet?
An attribute and mark of our character, a reflection of our natural strength that is as enduring and deep as the granite bedrock of Mount Katahdin. It is what compels us to stand fast against injustice, to rise against tyranny, to defend those who cannot defend themselves.
What is it that compels us? Mount Katahdin?
It is an instinct that is as important as ever in this very moment. As people state are speaking with moral clarity to protect their neighbors and their communities against federal
drug dealing
agents who
illegal
seek to intimidate
aliens
and silence us.
There we go.
Today, I say to the people of Maine, we will not be intimidated. We will not be silenced. And to anyone outside these halls, including any federal officials, I say, if you seek to harm Maine people, you will have to go through me first.
Unless you're an illegal alien. If you're an illegal alien, you're fine. If you're an illegal alien, or if you're Chinese organized crime, you're fine. You're going to get the cooperation of the governor. If you're an illegal alien rapist, you'll have her cooperation. But if you're trying to remove them, you'll have to go through the governor.
We will climb this hill together, you and I, just as we have over the past 7 years. Confronting dangerous terrains and stepping out of treacherous places in order to secure a foothold for Maine people in the upward
is it every year for 7 years?
Progress.
What a hill. There's like 13,000 metaphors, and we're 2 seconds into this speech.
It's
a hill of fraud.
And a commitment to democracy with an unequal determination to preserve the future of our country and our Constitution.
How many bong rips do you think the speechwriter took before they started banging this one out?
This is a bad one.
Addressing a joint session of the legislature. In every moment that we've gathered in this chamber, it has been my profound honor, yes, an honor and privilege to be elected to serve the people of Maine. you, who are the very backbone of our state, as your governor.
That's two backbones we have now.
I
Two
set
backbones.
this
The
office
legislators
with
are
one
the
goal in mind.
legislators are the backbone of the state.
And
The
it wasn't
mountains are
to
the
break
backbone
a
of the state.
glass ceiling by
Don't
becoming the first
downplay the
woman
Tim
governor,
Walz hands.
though I'm
Come on.
proud to help show others, including young girls, that it is possible.
Oh, young
It's
girl.
also not to become the first governor from Franklin County, though I'm proud to claim it as my home, along with legendary Maine guide Fly Rod Crosby, earmuff inventor Chester Greenwood, and others.
What was that? Earmuff
It is the
inventor?
people of Maine who are and always have been my North Star. And I sought this office because I believe they deserved better from their government.
They're the backbone.
And it would have been easy for me. It would have been easy for all of you to sit back and allow others to carry the burdens of leadership. But as Senator Robert F. Kennedy Sr. once said,
Oh,
it is more comfortable to sit content in the easy approval of friends and of neighbors than to risk the friction and the controversy that comes with public affairs.
this is a woman who never does press
So we have
conferences,
assumed the
never
manner of
does
controversy
hostile
that
media
comes
interviews.
with
That's pretty
public
comfortable.
affairs.
I don't recognize that
Surely no
being
one
a
could even have
RFK
predicted
classic
7
line,
years
by the
ago
way.
No,
the
no,
friction
not
and
an RFK
controversy we
gem.
would encounter. We would confront the dangers, the crises, tragedies, and heartbreaks that we would endure. Climbing mountains to overcome obstacles and keep Maine people safe.
How many mountains have we climbed at this point?
Well,
This is 4
ultimately,
now.
Maine people will judge how well we met these moments. But tonight I want to tell you what these moments have meant to me.
Oh,
I'm convinced that history will show that when we
Do you think that?
faced
Do you think it
crises, we
said
were
glasses
steady
off,
and
glasses back
strong.
on?
yeah.
When we found ways to make life better for
Like
Maine
Joe Biden.
people,
Cue
we were
cards.
bold and brave, and we climbed those hills together.
More climbing. Jeez.
A lot of
Beginning in
climbing.
the
All right.
first year of my administration, we restored nursing and other critical public health staff to respond to emergencies after years of cuts by the previous administration. And thank God those nurses were there, along with our National Guard and our healthcare workforce, retired and active, to answer the call when a worldwide pandemic struck.
Actually, in truth, she created a massive healthcare worker shortage by mandating that they take the vaccine. There was a huge number of healthcare workers left the industry and created a crisis because of her policy. But, you know, what do the facts matter when we're climbing all these hills? I'm out of breath by now.
We saved lives.
You know what? That's bullshit too. I'll fact check that. More people died as a result of the economic shutdowns. There's like 3,000 people died because of COVID, and way more people died deaths of desperation and from the economic calamity that she caused. That is
We all
BS.
survived because of those vaccines. And a few years later, when a horrific act of violence in Lewiston robbed us of 18 loved ones and caused our state
Here we go.
immense pain, we stood together.
And I encouraged everybody to donate to the Maine Community Foundation, which hooked up some Somali NGOs with a bunch of cash. And I've never said anything about it after that. Sorry to finish your sentence.
First responders, and we did not let the vitriol and heated rhetoric surrounding the issue of gun violence immobilize us. Instead, we took meaningful steps to prevent violence, to protect public safety, and expand mental health services. Then later, when deadly storms devastated communities across the state, we responded with the largest investment in storm relief in state history.
And she was actually in Massachusetts for a fundraiser with Maura Healey when that happened. She was MIA for 72 hours, and the Maine Wire had to sue her to get her schedule to prove that she was out of state, and we successfully did it. We're the only media outlet, I think, that submits Freedom of Access Acts, but we're the only people who have sued her successfully, and we showed that she was hobnobbing with Maura during the storm. Oh, and by the way, she also lied after the fact and said that the National Weather Service never told her how severe the storms were going to be. And the National Weather Service came out with a rare press release and said, yeah, actually, we told you like a week in advance, multiple times.
And then offering their help with quiet kindness and selfless acts of grace. As we reflect upon these moments, let us also remember those we lost this year, including our beloved lobster lady, Ginny Oliver of Rockland, and Penobscot tribal elder, distinguished decorated veteran Charles Norman Shea, lawmakers such as Kathy Javner, Denise Harlow, Stan Grozovsky, Linda McKee, Dick Gould, Carol McElwee, Bill Diamond, Carl Turner, Ruth Foster, along
we assume there's going to be a meat portion of this lofty oratory.
Am I the only one who's confused? Oh,
two young children.
we'll get into it.
Braden Callahan of Rockland and Simon Gonzalez of Standish, who lost their lives in the everyday act of just getting on or off the school bus.
Yeah, but the good thing is
how
that
about those?
wasn't
How
with
about
us.
those two young people from Texas who were killed by Marcel Lagrange? A wanton act of gun violence by someone who should have been behind bars. I noticed she didn't mention them.
Tradition. Tonight, I'm proud to stand before you one final time and say that despite our challenges, I believe the state of our state is strong.
Where does she live?
Yeah, I mean, if measured in the number of little boys that have been transed, I suppose that's one positive indicator.
That's the backbone of Maine, Steve.
Let me talk about the economy first.
Under
my administration, Maine's economy has grown at a faster rate than many other states. It's true. In fact, we've experienced more economic growth in my first 6 years of office than we did in the entire 14 years before that. And I'm proud to say we've seen an increase of 16,200 private sector jobs in our state. And last year, nearly 15,000
the fuzzy math could be
new
the reopening of things after COVID.
Here in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
And many other businesses, like the Taste of Maine Potato Chip Company in Limestone, are experiencing and significantly expanding their workplace, their workforce, and their footprint. Through my Jobs and Recovery Plan, more than 20,000 men and women enrolled in job training programs, many of them earning a new license or credential in a higher paying job, like in healthcare, electrical,
Yeah, exactly, in healthcare,
and other good paying occupations.
Cannabis.
Oh, and Maine's unemployment rate has been below 4% for nearly 4 years, one of the longest stretches ever. And it's consistently below both the New England and the state unemployment rates. Our state's credit ratings have been upgraded to the second highest possible rating after.
I'm going to go ahead and throw that one up there. That's the labor force participation rate. That's the percentage of working age people who could be working but aren't. There's a little context for the unemployment rate.
Is that people have dropped out?
Yes, these are people who dropped out, no longer in the workforce.
But not retired.
That you rely on to go to work every day, to go to school, and just to get around. We've repaired nearly 200 bridges, repaved nearly 8,000 miles of roads everywhere, and working with hundreds of internet service providers and communities, we've connected more than 250,000 homes and businesses with the internet. As a matter of fact, right now, every person who wants an internet connection has access to one, thanks to the good work of the Maine Connectivity Authority, fulfilling the promise I made to you here in 2000.
I'm sorry, is this 2005? Like, we're bragging about the internet?
We're making it easier for people to live, work, and do business everywhere in Maine, everywhere. People like Rob and Alice, a couple who wanted to move to a small town in Maine, but they needed high-speed internet for work. 7 years ago, there was no way they could have moved to a place like Bremen, Maine, and have fast enough internet. But thanks to our investments in broadband, that's exactly what they did. Now, Alice and Rob
I like that.
involved in their community. And just this past fall, they welcomed a baby boy to their family. We're growing here, folks. We're growing. I'm proud of this economic progress. But like every other state, we have our fair share of hills to climb.
Good one, Cindy.
That's a great point by
One
Cindy
of the
Walker.
biggest obstacles for many people today, whether you're a new college grad, a young parent, an older person on fixed income, one of the biggest obstacles is the high cost of living.
Whose
from
fault?
healthcare to
Yeah, whose
housing,
fault is that?
utilities, to the price of a pickup truck, groceries, and life-saving medicines. Costs are
Electric.
too high. And Maine people, like millions of people across the country, are feeling it. Well, tonight, I propose we do something about it.
We're going to raise your taxes and spend more money.
First,
Better late than never, Janet.
What
That's right.
next?
over the past 7 years, on several occasions, we have put money back in the pockets of Maine people to help them get through difficult times.
Oh, is she going to send another round of stimulus checks?
In 2021, for instance, during the pandemic, we sent over 500,000 people a disaster relief
This
payment.
is going to be the most cynical thing I've ever seen in Maine politics. If she proposes sending checks just before the 2026
Sent
election.
inflation relief checks of $850 to 880,000 people. And in 2023, again with bipartisan support, we sent 880,000 people an energy relief check of $450. That's a total of nearly $1.3 billion in relief that we've delivered to Maine people with high costs.
After increasing taxes and energy prices by $2 or $3 billion, but you know, who's counting?
Each family, each person has different needs. Giving money directly back to them allows them to decide how best to address these needs.
How about not taking it?
For 80-year-old Peg in Pembroke, for instance, who lives on Social Security, her $850 relief check meant a tank of heating oil to help get her through the winter. Or for Terry in Hamden.
We already have programs. We have
check
LI
for
HEAP
food and
funded through the
gas
federal
and
government. I mean,
food
we have
affairs.
programs to allow for
He said,
this. This is
quote,
the part of the speech where they're like, insert story about elderly Mainer we helped. Personalize it. You know, we've moved past the metaphor part of the speech. Now we got to get into these personal stories to show that she's real,
Over the past few
compassionate.
months, my administration put together the supplemental budget, and will come before you soon. We asked ourselves again and again, how can we help people in the fastest, most direct, most meaningful?
How can we cover up the fraud is really what the question that they're asking themselves. As I was saying earlier, there's no way this supplemental budget passes when they're looking at a $23, $24 million clawback from the feds.
With what we can, where we can. By sending them an affordability relief check.
Amazing.
$300.
Here we go.
Amazing. She's buying votes. She's just going to buy votes. Oh, man, that is outrageous.
Because of tariffs.
That is so bad because of tariffs. She's gonna send it. I'm willing to bet this is not going to be an electronic benefit transfer. This is going to be a check with a letter, and it's going to say, "Hey, I'm Janet Mills. Here's $300," and it's going to arrive. I don't know, August, September, October.
By the way, I'm on the ballot in November.
For her household, head of household, and $150,000.
Unbelievable.
We're putting tax dollars back in your pockets, and you will have the freedom to decide what to do with it.
That is beautiful.
Wow. I can tell you, if you're watching this and you work for a living, you're probably not getting one of those checks.
Our rainy day fund, thanks to good
Rainy day fund. I was just going to ask about that.
Stands at its legal maximum of more than $1 billion. A balance that is nearly 5 times greater than when I took office.
She seems a little erratic.
The fund is in a strong position.
She's feeling it.
Is the B12 shot kicking in here?
I think the B12. I think she had a little visit with Dr. Feelgood beforehand.
I ask that you promptly approve this measure. And while we're at it, let's continue to tackle one of the most significant issues facing Maine people.
Fraud.
High cost of housing.
Fraud.
Prospect of home ownership used to be
illegal aliens, doing Medicaid fraud and buying up all the housing, and Chinese illegal aliens buying all our houses to build them into pot houses.
That dream is out of reach for many. The median price for a home in Maine is at $405,000, a record high that is only slightly lower than the national price of $414,000 and some change. The national news is filled with stories about the difficulties in renting or buying a house from California to
because of all the illegal aliens you've allowed in here.
30% of all Americans are house poor. That is, they spend 30% or more of their incomes on housing. The entire nation is short millions of units of housing for rent or for sale. High interest rates, supply chain constraints, and labor shortages have made the situation even worse. And the president's tariffs on aluminum, steel, and other
There you go.
building
John, you
materials
called that
have
earlier,
driven
didn't
up costs and slowed new construction
Mhm.
at a time when we need it most. Since I took office, my administration has authorized nearly $315 million to help with housing.
And what's it done? Where's the
Nearly
housing?
5 times more than the state of Maine spent
get that
on
money back?
housing.
Yeah, I was
production
gonna say,
from
where are the
2000
houses?
to 2018. In the past year alone, my administration and Maine
See,
Housing
she's kind of in the pickle that
financed more than
every
1,400
governor
homes,
who
mostly
serves
new
7 years is in, where if you're complaining about how bad things are in the state, you're kind of telling on yourself. You're pointing a finger at yourself. You've spent $350 million over 7 years, and we still have a once in a generation housing crisis. Like, well, can you diagnose the problem a little bit for us? What did you do wrong? Obviously, you didn't spend that money effectively.
to retire and ready to downsize.
Well, right. And also, the
Find a smaller
last
place
couple
within
of
her
years of
budget.
taxes and fees.
When Wilbur's Woods became available,
Can't we just control
one of
Z
the
some
first
of
people
those?
to move in. Another new housing development built with state funds is Congress Square Apartments, 48 units.
Steve, are these checks going out
Apartment building
this
in
summer,
Belfast.
you think, or no?
Oh, these checks, there's going to be a little delay with the franking. They're probably going to have to send them out right at the end of October, if I had to guess. Unless maybe the polling shows that she's a little too close to Plattner. In that case, they'll zip them out, right around
Together, we
June, the
enacted
beginning of June.
historic legislation to knock down the barriers to housing in Maine, and we created the Mobile Home Preservation Fund, helping mobile home residents purchase their own parks before the
exciting.
wealthy out-of-state corporations.
Her aspiration for the people of Maine is that everybody can buy their own trailer with a little bit of government assistance.
Have purchased 13 mobile home parks in Maine, creating long-term stability for those people.
Not exactly.
She's got a little bit of cotton mouth, Sometimes your mouth gets a little dry.
Your top achievement, I mean, it's a noble achievement, but if that's one of your top achievements, stop talking right now.
I agree with you,
More
John.
will follow. In fact, just yesterday, residents of a mobile home park in Jay became the first to sign an agreement to purchase their own park under our new right of first refusal law. And a member of the Blueberry Fields Cooperative in Brunswick, when this happened in Brunswick, had been afraid that his rent was going to be going up by $400, $500 a month if his mobile home park went up for sale. As someone on a very low fixed income, he knew he couldn't pay that. Neither could his neighbors. But with state support, the Blueberry Fields Cooperative purchased their mobile home park, protecting it as affordable housing for years to come. As that man put it, quote, "We are now in charge of our destinies here," end quote.
Wow, what a great story. Is destiny is to live forever in a mobile home park. Wow.
A true public servant does that and then never talks about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's the right
but
thing to do.
you would think that maybe we could have, actual houses and not be worried about, whether we're going to be kicked out of our mobile homes, but she set her goals pretty low. I mean, 7 years into her governorship, and the best thing she can say is that people living in mobile homes aren't being evicted.
Not when young families can't find a house that fits their budget. Not when retirees want to downsize but can't find a smaller place at a reasonable cost. Not when businesses are losing workers because they can't find housing nearby. So tonight, I'm announcing a $70 million American Dream proposal to further expand housing in Maine. First, I proposed
like
two
you said,
pilot
Steve,
programs.
where were all these ambitious ideas for the last
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, where was all of this 7 years ago when all of the housing shortage was so predictable? And where is the money coming from, by the way? I know the rainy day fund is.
Where's the $70 million coming from?
The rainy day fund, I get that is full, but when the federal government comes to claw back all the fraudulent Medicaid spending and some of the fraudulent no-bid contract money, writing those budgets is going to get a little bit harder. I mean, these are promises that are worth, the tissue paper that they're written on. And by the way, is this going to be $70 million to the Gateway Community Services Housing Fund? Is Abdullahi Ali going to diversify into housing now?
Suggesting that the grift is going to follow the money, Steve.
Now let's talk about education, which represents about 41% of the entire state budget, as you know. In the last 7 years, we've built a strong pipeline from classroom to career for young people.
And test scores have plummeted while she was governor. I know COVID messed with a lot of things, but she supported the school closures. But there's no measure by which you can assess our schools and say that they've improved over the last 7 years.
Universities in America. You're welcome.
Actually, I take that back. We do have the highest rate of polyglottism in our schools. We have the most languages spoken and taught in our schools, probably in any state.
Including a record high number of degrees in high demand fields like engineering, computing, healthcare, business, teaching, and new technologies. And as a result of our investments and UMaine's good work, the university system is realizing its 7th straight semester of increased enrollment. Chancellor Malloy, President Farini Mundi, and Board of Trustees Chair Trish Riley, I believe you're here tonight, and I want to thank you for the great work you've been doing.
I want a cost-benefit analysis on the free community college. Let's see how much we've spent on free community college in comparison to the number of jobs that those graduates have landed.
The University of Maine and the University of Maine Graduate Workers Union, UAW, for recently negotiating their first ever collective bargaining contract. Thank you for that.
Oh, great. Collective bargaining. Oh, wow. Come on.
And of course, we've also increased funding for the Maine Maritime Academy for campus improvements and operations over the past 7 years, making it an extremely attractive institution for an increasing number of students and graduates who will go on to good paying careers in the maritime industries. I believe President of Maine Maritime Academy, Craig Johnson, is here with us tonight, and I want to thank him for his work too.
All right, to be fair, that's a good one.
And finally, oh yeah, we made community college, 2 years of community college free.
Oh, nothing more expensive than free.
Yeah, again, I want a cost-benefit analysis. How much money have we spent versus the number of jobs those graduates have obtained?
Free community college program to date.
How many were U.S. citizens? How many U.S. citizens got free community college?
Nearly 2,000 of those students have transferred to the University of Maine or other four-year colleges. Free community college grads have gone on to work in Maine. Grads like Tori Weil.
By the way, I like community college, but aren't they already the cheaper alternative to the other universities?
Yes, absolutely they are. But also they're an avenue for non-citizens to attend. And as John is pointing out, they're free for the student. They're not free for the rest of us. You're effectively taking money out of working people's paychecks so that people can go study like screenplay writing at University Community College, Central Maine Community College or something.
Good one, Trish.
I want to acknowledge and congratulate them on their great work.
It's not a barn burner of a seat.
It's been a lackluster speech to this point.
There's also been applause lines that
Free community
fell
college
flat.
program has made a life-changing difference for thousands of Maine young people. And that's why, as part of my budget last year, I had proposed making it permanent. Well, the legislature, in balancing many considerations, agreed to continue it through the class of 2025. Look, education opens doors of opportunity. And so tonight, I'm taking another swing at it. Let's make community college free in Maine permanently.
It must be so easy to write Democrat speeches. Let's give everybody a pony. Everybody in Penobscot County gets a free snowmobile. Everybody in Aroostook County, free pickup trucks. You know what? Hey, everybody gets a 6-hour P211 GTO too. Let's just give it all away for free.
Distributing relief checks, building more homes.
So far, my favorite line has been the economic growth in Maine is higher than some states.
Long-term cost relief.
Some.
I'm gonna need to look at the transcript of the first 5 minutes of it though, because all the various mountains that we climbed and the backbones of our state, I was confused. I'm gonna need that diagram for me.
Who's the backbone and who's the bedrock again? I'm not sure.
To keep costs down for Maine families.
What?
When I took office in 2019, there was $388 million in direct tax relief for Maine families in the biennial budget. We increased that to nearly $1.1 billion in tax relief. What does that mean for the people of Maine? It means more money back in your pockets. In Maine, if you're working and raising a child, you may very well qualify for $650 through the state's earned income tax credit. That's $650 directly back into your pocket. What's more, you may also qualify for Maine.
Delivery is on double time right now. I get the feeling she's sensing that the attendees are looking forward to getting back to the back of the house where the rolling bars are packed with beers and suds.
Yeah. It's feeling it's got a little bit of that Howard Dean, Hunter Biden energy here.
If you're a graduate who's paying off your school loans, you probably qualify for our student loan tax credit, once known as Opportunity Maine, which gives you a refundable tax credit of up to $2,500 a year. It's one of the most generous programs in the country for tax relief for people paying off their student loans. Or if you're an older citizen, senior citizen, you might qualify for property tax relief up to $2,000 through our property tax fairness credit. And your pension itself might well be exempt from income taxes. That's all real.
What about bartenders and tip people?
And I want every person in Maine to take advantage of.
Oh, can I just give an A+ rating to something I'm noticing here?
By the way, we're fighting to hold down costs.
What is that?
I want to applaud the governor. There is no maniacal, spastic sign language person next to her.
The cost of education.
That is, yeah, you're right. Which actually,
good point.
I'll counterpoint that. There should be a sign language person there because a huge number of the people who were killed in the Lewiston shooting were deaf, from the deaf community. Disproportionately affected them. And she talked about the Lewiston shooting. So I would say this is an ADA violation, and maybe somebody should file a lawsuit against her.
In 2023, we also met the
the biggest tragedy in the history of Maine.
Revenue sharing at 5%.
Seconds? I mean, come on, that was bad.
The previous administration had slashed it to 2%. You all heard from the towns and cities. That means more money goes back to the towns and cities to pay police, firefighters, road crews, and local services so that less of that cost is borne by the property taxpayers.
Property taxes have never been higher.
My administration prioritized education and revenue sharing because the voters and the taxpayers demanded it. Property taxes are still too high for far too many. And of course, we have a commission created by the legislature and signed into law by me, working on that very issue today.
Property taxes are too high because you're spending too much money. Why do you need a commission?
To hold down property taxes, which is why I'm including another $46 million in my supplemental budget, general funds, to maintain our commitment to pay 55% of the cost of education.
See, this is like the cost of education is too high. I'm increasing Stafford loan, reimbursement rates, and then the colleges say, yeah, okay, we'll just take more money and raise tuition.
Yeah. I love the property taxes. They're going to create the commission so that 6 months from now we can roll out legit property taxes management LLC.
Where's this money tree that the state of Maine has? Like, because I want to go pick some of
And we've helped more than 120 school districts provide healthy, locally grown food from Maine farms.
Oh, here we go.
Pretty sensible. We're also repairing crumbling school infrastructure across the state. And we've expanded early childhood education with more children enrolled in pre-K than ever before. And we raised the minimum teacher salary, and we added 1,000 teachers to the workforce.
Great.
Great teachers.
Because you needed ESL teachers.
Yeah, exactly. We need more teachers union members to plan our Antifa riots.
Education centers. And enrollment at the CTEs is at its highest level ever.
Ever a correlation made between teachers' salaries and literacy rates?
That's a lot of high school kids getting.
I'm pretty sure there isn't a correlation, unless maybe you're in China.
Graduation rate is the best it's ever been.
Yeah, they're graduating, but can they read?
Correct.
There was a study that just came out over the weekend saying that college kids can't read anymore.
Maine students are actually healthier and happier than they were just 2 years ago. With a significant
2 years ago, when we just finished locking down the state and they were all suicidal.
Increasing the need to drink, smoke, or use other substances to cope with stresses in life. Still,
as she wipes her nose, that's just too perfect. Matt, we're gonna have to save that clip.
We have to clip that.
We call that a tick.
1,800 Maine students in the 4th and 8th grades back in January 2024, 2 years ago. Well, as the daughter of a longtime public school teacher and someone who raised 5 daughters who went to public schools in Maine, it's important to me that every child acquires math and reading skills to set themselves up for success. Happily, Maine's own achievement tests, which test all 4th grade and 8th grade students twice a year, actually show much better results.
No, that's absolute horseshit. Pardon my adult language, but that is not. They totally played games with the tests. They blew up the testing. Maine's annual report card. If you want to judge Maine's testing results against every other state on the same test, Maine is at the very same time. They've adopted all of these emotional, social learning, all the left-wing pap. And the Commissioner of Education, Pender Macon, actually said on microphone, academic learning takes a back seat to the social and emotional learning.
Builds on a $10 million investment we made in 2024 to encourage schools to adopt the highly successful science of reading approach, teaching kids how to read. It has turned around poor literacy rates for kids across the country, and it's doing the same here in Maine. The Department of Education has also worked closely with individual schools to improve their student scores. So like Indian Township School Principal Molly Newell wrote us, thanking us, saying that what she's seen is not just better scores, but increased student confidence, deeper understanding of scientific concepts, and stronger preparation for future academic success.
What do you think would happen if the teleprompters flipped off right now?
There's something else that stands in the way.
Couldn't be worse.
Success, I believe.
Well, that's true.
Is it me, or does she appear to be tipsy?
And mind of many teachers across.
More than one person has texted me suggesting that there's some performance-enhancing drugs involved in this speech.
Very disruptive, especially during the school day, and disruptive to the mental health of young people.
Here we go. Is this going to be our bridge to chest finder?
Classrooms.
No, it's time to get the cell phones out of classrooms. Is she sucking on her dentures, or?
Tonight, I propose we enact a statewide ban on cell phone use during the school day, bell to bell, to reduce distraction and disruption and keep children's attention focused on learning.
And not on what the teachers are doing.
Yeah, well, what I'm actually, I'm okay with that as long as they put body cams on all the teachers, cameras with public live stream, because we've actually, one of the first stories I did for the Maine Wire was undercover audio of a teacher going on a deranged anti-Trump rant. So it's a double-edged sword. I get not having the distraction in the classroom, but sometimes a sneaky little 8th grader taking a video of their teacher is the only thing holding them accountable.
Yes.
Wasn't fond of it at first. But then he realized it actually was giving him more time to talk with his friends in person, including over lunch, instead of everybody looking down at their phones every minute of the school day. Change isn't always easy, but if the past 7 years have taught us anything, it's that we have to be able to adapt to new challenges. This past weekend brought another reminder of our need to adapt when dangerously cold temperatures and wind chills tested our electric grid, just as other extreme weather events have done in the past few years.
Which, by the way, she's made less stable by pushing us to rely on intermittent power sources. How are those solar panels? How are those solar panels keeping your house warm right now? What about those the offshore wind turbines she spent $1 billion on? Oh wait, we don't have any offshore wind turbines.
Folks,
yes, other extreme weather events like winter.
That's also exactly why my administration
happens every year.
opposed a massive rate hike from a request from CMP that the PUC rightly rejected out of hand. But the
with the highest electricity rates in mainland United States, and she's bragging about keeping rates low. I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all.
But the high price of electricity is not,
lying
as
right
some
to our
Republican
faces.
friends would say, driven predominantly by renewable energy policies. Instead, it's driven by our significant over-reliance on fossil fuels, primarily natural gas, to generate
This is just a total
electricity.
lie.
Read
Just a total lie. Read the studies.
Periods such as this cold spell.
Read the studies
fact,
that
more
I've
than half
paid
of the
my
electricity
my
produced
friends
in
to in
generated by
Massachusetts
burning
think
natural
tanks to
gas.
write. This is an outright lie.
Yeah.
That is ludicrous. And you know what? This is a good moment. Put a pin in this. Let's see how the Bangor Daily News and the Press Herald cover that one, because that is a whopper of a lie. It is just a factual truth that electricity from solar panels and from wind turbines is way more expensive than the natural gas we import from New Brunswick or the nuclear power we get from Seabrook. That is 100% bullshit false from the governor.
Why we're procuring more cost-effective clean energy like wind and solar here in Maine, in northern Maine in particular, and hydro from Canada, while pursuing energy storage as well. And at the same time, Efficiency Maine Trust and my energy department
It's a weasel words. Pursuing energy storage means we don't have
where's the energy being stored, Governor? There's a pipe dream about some iron batteries they're going to build up in East Millinocket or something. There's no energy storage happening. This energy section of her speech is probably the most ridiculous thing. The Republicans should have walked out on that, because that is just a bold-faced lie.
Snow was blowing through the old cracked windows, and electric heating bills were in the thousands. But with weather as
talking about triad wheat houses now,
replaced 14 outdated windows, insulated their home, and made other upgrades which have made their home warm and comfortable and saved them a lot on home heating bills. Quote, not only did it give new life to an old...
Is she supposed to be reading quote on the teleprompter, or is this like a Ron Burgundy, Joe Biden moment?
Maine has one of the oldest housing stocks in the country. And while we love these old houses, like I love mine, they're a bear to heat, especially with oil. So I'm proud to say that since I took office, we've actually cut our reliance on heating oil down from 62% of all homes to 52%. Still a ways to go.
Of course, she's going to talk about heat pumps.
Let's lower our energy costs by lowering our reliance on fossil fuels and make all our homes safer and more weatherproof. Another driver of high costs for Maine people, of course, is health care, especially right now. Excuse me.
Another shot.
Here in Maine, we've worked hard to expand health care to more people, to small businesses, to the self-employed, and to families across Maine. And we have fought to make coverage more affordable. On my first day in office, I expanded Medicaid, ending my predecessor's adamant opposition to following the will of the people. And thanks to that move, nearly 230,000 people, all told, have gotten access to health care in Maine, including preventative care like cancer screenings.
We also have home-based care with 5-star home health care and gateway community services.
Yes,
thanks to
legit
my
home health
initiatives.
Say, let Steve off the leash on this one. Let him
I was
off.
gonna say, thanks to my initiatives, every Somali in Lewiston is driving a Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon. We've enriched, there's neighborhoods in Mogadishu named after me because we expanded Medicaid. Personally, I would have clipped that one from the speech.
Wrote to me about a patient whose life had been changed because of Medicaid expansion. A young woman with significant health issues was able to restart medications because she now had health insurance. Now, he said, she's finishing her GED and going on to nursing school. He said, quote, "Our state needs more workers desperately," the doctor wrote, "but people need good health to work, and Maine Care expansion has made this reality possible," end quote.
And Maine Care fraud is major taxes go up.
Yeah, I think there are many more testimonials about the expanding universe of Maine Care fraud.
Besides expanding Medicaid, we've also expanded access to private health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. Together, we enacted the Made for Maine health coverage.
While we're talking about health insurance, I'm just going to throw up a little chart there for the viewers at home. Those are the what I've referred to as the Janet Mills Maine Care startups. These are this is provider billing by year under Medicaid, public records that we obtained under the Freedom of Access Act. These are the startups. These are the new organizations. These are the new companies that were created after 2020. So you're looking at just the new agencies who arrived on the scene and started billing Medicaid. And if you look at that top one right there, Mr. Paul Munura of Legends Residential Care billed $17 million last year. In 2019, he was a refugee from the Congo, and now he's billing $17 million a year thanks to Medicaid expansion that she was just talking about. These are the names, these are the winners, these are the successful enterprises from Medicaid expansion. For some reason, I don't think you're going to hear her talking about these right now, but she might be talking about them in the future when she's deposed by the House Oversight Committee.
Oh, God, that'll be great.
Sorry, I'll put her back on. I know everybody's keen to see what she has to say.
Wow,
someone's going to have to refill that glass.
No hit.
Tight to the cup. I like that.
We also expanded health coverage for postpartum care, a full year postpartum. And we increased funding for family planning services provided by organizations like Planned Parenthood and Maine Family Planning.
Yay, more abortions.
Rely on for primary and preventative care.
What a party that would call that
Earlier
planning.
today, I was proud to announce that once again, where the federal government has fallen down, Maine will stand tall. And I propose in my supplemental budget a one-time appropriation of $2.25 million in general funds to replace the money that this president and Congress have cruelly cut from Planned Parenthood and Maine Family Planning for primary care.
Let's fund abortion.
We'll do it. So one issue people here.
Janet Mills, ICE is bad, but I'm going to fund abortions. Okay.
Just going to go ahead and throw another one up there. I think we may be seeing a walkout here because of the comments about abortion. I think I just heard her say, nobody's making you stay.
Ooh.
State level is in jeopardy, though, because of the president and the Congress. As you know, Congress passed and the president signed legislation that I'll call the big bad bill, a bill that cut billions of dollars in health care funding over the next decade in order to finance tax breaks primarily for billionaires who don't want them, don't even need them. What a backward policy. And while Maine will receive $190 million through the Rural Health Transformation Program, and we'll use those funds, well, we'll put them to good use.
Yeah, many Republicans walked out when she started talking about Planned Parenthood.
In healthcare funds that Maine will lose over the next 10 years. What's that about? Because of the federal government's actions, upwards of 33,000 people across Maine are likely to lose access to health care.
Democrats sunsetted that. That was not Republicans.
Preventative care. Cancer.
It was also an expanse that gave upper middle class, white collar people free health care.
Deserves. The loss of health care for those folks will lead to increased uncompensated care that will be absorbed by our hospitals first. They're already in difficult financial straits.
Because of Medicaid. Because Medicaid, you expanded Medicaid. Medicaid doesn't pay enough, so they need to make up the cost somewhere else. So private insurance rates get jacked up.
Out-of-pocket care as a result. See the picture here? See the formula? And I haven't even mentioned Congress's failure to extend the enhanced ACA subsidies, which has already caused 8,500 people in Maine to abandon their health insurance altogether and driving up the cost for tens of thousands more people who are insured through the marketplace. And the number of people forced to drop their health coverage because they can't afford to pay their premiums is only expected to increase in the coming months. One man from Cumberland told us that if his premiums increase as he expects, health insurance will be the single largest expense for his whole family.
I mean, I think it is for pretty much everybody, right? I mean, other than maybe your mortgage. I thought Obamacare was supposed to fix all of this.
No.
She'll have to go without health insurance. This is entirely unnecessary.
And also made up, I think.
Yeah, if it weren't for fraud, this conversation would never be needed to. We never need to have this conversation.
But look, even the ACA, which has become such a
notice got another nose wipe there.
It's only a Band-Aid on the whole problem of healthcare in America. And what healthcare really needs in this country right now is not a series of Band-Aids. It needs major surgery. Each individual state should not be left alone.
Yeah, we need to amputate Obamacare. I agree with her. Major surgery.
Healthcare is a human right.
She's going to say Medicare for all.
We know it. Most people know that now. Look, the federal government is capable of big things. It was the federal government that created Social Security and then Medicare. The federal government.
Yeah, Social Security, which I'm never going to see. I don't know, John, you might get Social Security. I'm certainly never going to see it. I don't think Tom's going to get any Social Security benefits.
It's time for the federal government to take its head out of the sand and address the crisis of health care head on, and nothing short of universal health care is acceptable.
I thought that's what Obamacare was. Yeah, I thought Obamacare fixed it once and for all.
It's an idea whose time has come.
Why are we yelling?
You don't have to deal with health care. That's wonderful. But listen, one more thing. Oh, you bet it is, Jim. It's the state of the state because everybody in this room has to deal with health care. You can't be blind to that. And the cost on the states all across America. And what's happening in Washington is putting huge burdens on all of us to try to do the humane thing and keep people alive and keep people healthy. It's basic human rights.
I mean, I know it's just become a little trite, but she's definitely coked up, right?
What was she yelling at when she said,
I don't want to. I think there was a Republican lawmaker said something along the lines of, is this a campaign speech or the state of the state? Because obviously it's a campaign speech, but I mean, she's definitely coked up. Am I just out on a limb here?
There's something off. There's something off.
One of the problems with healthcare prices, obviously, is that there's a whole bunch of people who already have universal health care, and the rest of us are paying for it.
Exactly. And it's a $1 trillion Medicaid program with $500 billion in fraud.
Like you, deeply loves this nation and this state. But I worry about the future of our country and the fate of our democracy. I worry about the standing of our country in the eyes of the world and the standing of our country in the eyes of our own citizens. I believe we're at a dangerous moment in our history, a moment where the very idea of America is in peril.
Ugh.
Maine's U.S. Senator Margaret C. Smith
Margaret
once told us that the four
Smith.
principles of Americanism were the right to criticize, the right to hold unpopular beliefs, the right to protest, the right to independent thought.
I'm just going to step in here again. The right to criticize. When Dr. Meryl Nass criticized Janet Mills on the radio, Janet Mills and her sister Dora Mills had her medical license taken away. When Rick Savage, the owner of Sunday River Brewing Company, criticized Janet Mills on Fox News and admittedly gave out her personal cell phone number, she took his liquor license away. So she does not believe in the right to criticize. If you're critical of her, she's going to stop, for example, John Featherston from being able to access the floor of the House chamber. So to hear her even pretend to utter the words of Margaret Chase Smith is a disgrace.
And attacks the courts who uphold it. And for those who may be unconcerned by the federal government's abuses of today affecting our state, I only ask you to consider this. What happens when the federal government finds you to be the problem tomorrow? This isn't partisan. This isn't about whether you're a Democrat or a Republican or an independent. This is not about whether you live in a blue state, a red state, a purple state, a city, a suburb,
Oh,
a farm.
God, you're right, Steve. Her comms team sucks.
It is about Margaret
Honestly,
Chase Smith's principles of Americanism.
The up and down of the mood of the speech, you've got to build. You can't go up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down.
Here, the rule of law reigns. Here, everyone is treated equally under the law, and here we have no kings.
Oh, God. It's just so poorly written.
I know. To start the thing with 35 minutes of Amanda Gorman poetry about the freaking bedrock and backbone.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, she's a published poet, Tom. I don't know if you realize this, but she's actually had her poetry published. Yeah.
What will our chapter of the American story be as our history is read to our children and grandchildren and to generations yet to come?
You were the worst governor in the history of Maine.
That choice is ours
That'll
today.
be the story.
And I have hope, because when the dawn seems furthest away, one star hangs in the night sky whose light keeps us from stumbling in the darkness. And that
nod
star
to Somalia.
will always help us find our way home. That North Star is the people of Maine.
Okay,
It always comes back to Somalia,
7
doesn't
years,
it?
I've seen people run towards gunfire to save the lives of children in Lewiston. I've seen firefighters rush to the aid of a town rocked by a deadly gas explosion in Farmington. I've seen fire and rescue.
Is this like a Kevin Cullen moment? She didn't see any of this.
Coast of Cape Elizabeth. I've seen strangers line the streets of Dover Foxcroft to welcome the remains of a World War II veteran home at last. And I know Maine National Guardsmen have been training in the freezing cold in Gilead alongside soldiers from Montenegro. I've seen business owners line their windows with paper hearts to carry on the legacy of a man who quietly spread a contagion.
You'll have to explain the Montenegro thing to me later.
Fans come together to cheer a new soccer team with great pride and excitement in their hearts of pine. And I've seen new Mainers build their
these are
lives
nice
here in our
stories,
beloved
but
state,
what the hell does
finding
it
a
have to
good
do with
home
making the state
among
more
loving
affordable?
and welcoming people.
My expectations were low, but damn.
Not this low.
All right, guys. Let her finish.
It is the people of Maine who reaffirm my faith every day that the bonds we share will not be easily dissolved, that our democracy, defended by Maine people, regardless of their politics, their power, or their possessions, will not be easily discarded. And I'll tell you this, as your governor, I will defend you. I will defend our Constitution, a Constitution written by immigrants, and I will defend our democracy with everything I have.
There we go. That's the line.
I think there's a little bit of a difference between settlers and immigrants.
Yeah. Immigrants to what country?
50 years ago, farmers gathered.
Did they get
Wow,
free Maine
that's
care?
To be the first of millions to celebrate this country and welcome a new dawn in the history of America. One man wrote to the people of the future. He said, quote, "We of 1976 have
Hey,
faith
Steve.
to be there."
Yeah.
Can you read the names of the framers of the Maine Constitution just so I can check for diversity?
Yeah, I will. Hold on a second. It's Paul Manura, Jovan Bayangana, Jocelyn Aina Hawaiza, Michelle Kanyambo. Oh, sorry. No, that's the list of people who have become millionaires because of Medicaid expansion. Sorry. I had my list confused. Yeah, I had my list confused.
That artificial intelligence will be commonplace, but it will never replace the human touch, the human hand, or the human heart. And that peace-seeking peoples will rule the nations. More importantly, when people of 2076 look back on us, I hope they see that we were a beacon of hope in dangerous times. That we stood side by side in moments of incredible joy and immense sorrow, sharing
Why are
both
these dangerous
gratitude
times?
and grief as one. And that we refused to give in to a national drumbeat of division, doubt, and dread, that we stood tall and defended democracy, that we worked together for the lasting benefit of all. Because from Bunker Hill to Little Round Top to Mars Hill to Capitol Hill and beyond, Maine people have climbed great heights to fight
Here
for
we go, man. We're
democracy
climbing.
and to plant that
So
flag
many
of
climbing
liberty.
metaphors.
Today, whistles are sounding. Alarms are over.
They are.
Calling once again for conscience, for common sense, for courage.
Is she trying to
Calling
cry?
for us to stand up again to defend the Constitution
Oh.
and
Can
to
I
preserve
hear
the safety and security of our people, all of our people. We have the mountains of Maine at our backs, our ridgeline of courage, a spine of granite.
I
And like
want
our
somebody
noble
incarcerated
champions
for writing this
throughout
Our
crap.
our spines are granite. Our spine are
We
the mountains of
people.
Mount Katahdin, and the Maine people are the
So,
spine
to
of the
the
state.
honorable members of the Maine legislature, it has been a privilege to serve with you. You are an incredible array of public servants, always risking the friction and controversy that comes with public affairs, and with a dedication.
I want to take a transcript of this and
my
put it into
staff,
ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to guess at the grade level of the individual who wrote the speech.
To my family, I would not be here tonight without
So when I write this up tonight, speaking to the editors here,
people of
can I
Maine,
use
it has
WTF
been
as
my
the headline?
greatest honor to serve as your
I mean,
governor
what
Hope
was
you
this?
mentioned the
for the past 7
Hearts of
years.
Pine.
Thank you. From the bottom of my heart.
Good God, I am so happy that that's over. Yeah, well, Hearts of Pine, Tom, is the name of the D-League semi-pro soccer team that just got hosted in Portland. So it's not one of the many tortured metaphors that she used in her speech. It's a tortured metaphor that they used to name the semi-pro team, because of course that's what's going to turn things around in Portland. Not cleaning up the needles or reducing the shootings or getting rid of rent control, high taxes, and socialism. It's a soccer team called the Hearts of Pine. Yeah,
So
wow. I'll let you guys. I'll let you guys go first and react.
I'll say one thing that I am. She had the camera on the tripod rolling behind her, which I assume is Mills for Senate camera. It would have been an enhanced experience had we been able to see the faces on the Republicans for this speech, considering a lot of them barked back at her. I thought that the haggard, weak energy bromides that she said were an insult, especially when it's effing cold here and real people are hurting when it's cold. and to pull this crap about extreme weather events. And it's, you know what this was? This is a classroom and taking no responsibility for anything at all. And I don't believe her when she talks about the growth compared to other states, which is really a weak bullet point anyway, saying our growth is up there better than some states. I don't believe. I thought this was weak. I thought it was without substance. I thought that the 25 minutes of Purple Mountain Majesties at the first half was a Shakespearean script that she was not capable of pulling off. I thought that whoever gave her the meat to list off her accomplishments gave her some weak sauce. I thought her acting abilities and abilities to try to use theatrical aplomb to bring the message along was totally lacking. But mind you, I'm newer to her than you guys are. And I thought definitely that the abortion stuff was just simply, it's so uninspired. There's a third way to say things, and there's a way to say things that's 1/3 this length. And that should have been done. And this was just an exercise in total mediocrity. And it's just good. It's good for Mainers that she's gone, and bad that she might be taking the shuttle from Portland to DC, if there is one, in the future.
I just think this was a huge missed opportunity for her. I mean, to Tom's point earlier, her comms team sucks. Here it is. She has most of Maine watching her tonight. Her dress, her hair, her energy, I call it tipsiness. Steve called it something else. I mean, her presentation was bad. Her energy was bad. Her delivery was bad. This is a woman running for United States Senate. And even though, the three of us would not agree with her listing off accomplishments, she has been in office for 7 years, and her biggest highlight was the trailer parks. Once again, as I say, a very noble effort. Good thing. But if that's the best you got after 7 years, you shouldn't be running for United States Senate. You should be running for the back door to get out of there because I mean you've ruined your state. I mean, she missed a golden opportunity. I mean, they're not clipping anything for her Senate video tonight, are they?
I don't know if they're going to find something much better, because I mean this was Janet at her best. I mean this is as good as it gets with Governor Mills. I thought the speech was notable for what it lacked, but also for the few things that she could hang her hat on. The first part of it was just a absolute jumbled mess of metaphors. I mean, just from a pure, from an English sense, from a literary sense. It was offensive to the English language, the way she tortured her metaphors and mixed things together. I don't think that she has a career in poetry. Even if she changed her name and made it, an Asian name or an African name and submitted those to a journal of poetry, I don't think she's going to have a chance at getting published. I mean, just a really, really twisted, awful speech. I really hope that wasn't written by her, Deputy Chief of Staff, Scott Ogden, because he went to Bowdoin too. Would not speak well for Bowdoin grads. I mean, Mamdani, for all his problems, can at least string together a somewhat coherent metaphor. That was just bizarre. I mean, I felt like I was huffing spray paint having to listen to her string that together. Then the midsection of the speech was just monopoly money. We're going to send out more checks to people so that they'll vote for me. It's just naked, corrupt vote buying. The money is coming right out of Mainers' pockets after multiple years of raising taxes. We're going to raise taxes more so that she can send checks to people and buy their votes. And then she promises, 70 million here, 100 million here. The amount of spending is already at 12 billion over the most recent 2-year budget, the highest it's ever been. Nothing in the state's better. The roads aren't better. The schools aren't better. The police forces aren't better funded. Communities aren't safer. The only thing we've done is manage to pass out bags of Narcan at homeless camps. So we're keeping the Dominican fentanyl organization's customers alive longer. literally nothing in the state is better. There's no measure of economic, political, or social science by which you can look at the state of Maine after the last 7 years and say, hey, it got better. Even the unemployment rate she cites, while technically true, doesn't capture the full scope of the picture because the labor force participation rate has been so low, hasn't really recovered since COVID. It was low already, but there's a huge number of people who aren't in the workforce who could be. And part of that is because we've made it very, very easy and even profitable to be unemployed. The welfare system makes it really, really easy to work in a shadow economy or not work at all. Apart from the free money giveaway, when she transitioned into the part of her speech that was clearly just her Senate campaign speech, she starts talking about more money for Planned Parenthood. I mean, who the hell in this state has been looking around thinking we need more money for Planned Parenthood, we need more money for abortions? This is a governor who said she wasn't going to change the abortion law before she was running for office in 2022. And immediately after she won election, went to bat to support the most extreme abortion law in Western civilization, not just in the United States, but like anywhere. You can have a 9-month abortion for any reason whatsoever, as long as like the clerk at Planned Parenthood says that it's okay. Also, she's liberalized all the cross-sex hormones and puberty blockers, which is another industry that Planned Parenthood's getting into. And we've created a legal structure that allows you to traffic victims from other states into Maine and bring them to Planned Parenthood so that they can get their sex change drugs or their abortions. So business should be banging for Planned Parenthood. I don't know why she feels like she needs to steal more money from lobstermen and carpenters and home builders in order to pay for more abortions. But that clearly is just a Senate line, something that she's going to maybe use to campaign against Senator Collins, or at least she hopes she's going to campaign against Senator Collins. But if I'm Graham Plattner, I'm popping champagne on my own watching that.
Yeah.
Graham.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Graham only has that job, first of all, because he's an actor. He appeared in a commercial for some aquaculture project, and they found him and said, hey, can we stuff this guy full of the political agenda that we want? And yes, they can, but he's going to be better on camera. I think he's a more convincing, angry populist commie. Her undulations between trying to show basic human emotion and then getting really angry, it just didn't fit with it. And I legitimately have questions about what substances she took before she went out there. This is a woman who has been investigated back into the 90s by drug enforcement agents in Maine for using cocaine. There's been rumors forever. She's always wiping her nose and she's always slurring her words. I mean, you laugh, Tom, but there was legitimately an investigation in the 90s. There's newspaper articles about it that you can find. I've tweeted them out before. And the rumors have persisted about her use of performance-enhancing drugs. And she was more animated and erratic for this speech than she usually is. So I would have
I get
some
people all the time wanting
that.
to tell me stories about Janet Mills in the 90s.
Yeah, talk to some Auburn police officers. Talk to some Auburn police officers about young District Attorney Janet Mills getting pulled over with a gun in her car and carrying a foreign load. Just a mess of a speech. Whatever she set out to accomplish, she did not accomplish. And I've been texting with some of the Republicans. It looks like they are doing a press conference. They're doing a press availability. So I'm gonna see if we can find the live stream for that, and we can pull it up.
I will also say that I felt like there were 3 different Mills speechwriters, and none of them compromised, and they all got to jam their own speech in here. For her to start with the Purple Mountain Majesty, all of the flighty, symbolic golden eagle, like a rah America stuff, to move that into the semi-quincentennial, I can never say it, semi-quincentennial that's happening this year, then to move that to the tricentennial, and then to try to wedge in values issues under that rubric of universal health care, single payer health care, which is so antithetical to this democratic project that was started 250 years ago. To try to jam this stuff in and the stupid ice whistles, it was just a frigging Jackson Pollock of several different speeches. No part got to resonate itself. And once again, like, she's not a good performer. You put Graham Plattner out there to wing it for 30 minutes and he'll do a better job. He knows the character that he's trying to be. And you're right, it is a communist character. He's a radical, but at least he can lower his octave as low as he needs it to get and feign outrage and feign at some point, over emotional crying at some, which he just did yesterday. She doesn't have any tools. This is a weird car wreck of a few different speeches together. I don't know what the main, like, what is the main point. It supposedly was something that we're looking upwards here and it's going to be aspirational, but it wasn't aspirational. At the same time, it was petty and there was nothing new. I mean, rebrand some things, for frig's sake. Rebrand some things. If you want to do the fever dream stuff of universal health care, call it something else. And it is
we're mountain climbers here. Come on, we're climbing.
Right, exactly. But you have to go to personal testimonials about people who probably don't exist, and to have them say, my Medicaid was shut off, and then finally got it back, and then because of the expansion, I did this, and it saved. You can come up with an anecdote like that, but it is not what people say on the streets who are noticing that healthcare costs are through the frigging roof. And there is a class of people in Maine who are favored when it comes to all of these entitlement programs. And if you're a chump who works all day, it ain't you. And I just found this thing, the mediocre,
but
weird.
She bragged about expanding Maine Care. And we have the biggest Maine Care scandal going on, right? And she brags about growing it. They listen, getting people coverage and, making sure people are healthy and safe. It's okay. It's good. But to not even acknowledge the fact that, look, we're buying your boat tonight. I expanded Maine Care. You have huge fraud. Steve Robinson has exposed it all. And, but we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about, Decca Delac or Youssef, being connected to it, or Sophia Khalid being connected to it. We're just going to climb some mountains and blow.
Was
some
Decca
whistles,
there?
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if Decca was there. And it is odd that there was no reference whatsoever to Medicaid fraud. You'd think that this is one that she'd want to get ahead of, because there are at least a few people at the Department of Health and Human Services who know the records that we have. They know what we're on to. Mm-hmm. They know what's coming. You'd think that they would want to get ahead of it. Tim Walz even attempted to talk about how he was going to be tough on fraud and how he was going to investigate. She has said she supports an investigation into Gateway. But the fact that she didn't even attempt to look like she was going to be on the right side of this one signals to me that her involvement runs very deep, and she doesn't have a good fallback position when it comes to pretending to be the fraud fighter in chief.
Elizabeth says we're looking at the North Star, climbing some mountains and keeping a granite backbone while we climb.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, this is what I would like is I want a transcript of the first part of her speech, and I want Mainwire fans to film themselves reading their favorite parts of the first part of her speech and to send them in, and we'll have our video team put together a collage of everybody reading that tangled mess of I don't even know what genre of poetry it would be, but I mean it was almost like she was suffering from speech aphasia, when you forget the word or you keep using the same word over and over again. It was very bizarre, but I want all the Mainwire fans, once we get a transcript, I want people to film their own renditions of that beautiful work of art the governor gave us tonight, so we can mix them together in a wonderful tribute to the mountains that we climbed together tonight, having to listen to that awful speech.
Well, we just got the press release for the governor's speech. So.
Yeah, I wonder if the prepared remarks match up to what she actually had to say, or if she freelanced some of that beautiful poetry.
Governor Mills declared that despite our challenges, I believe our state is still strong. One of our biggest obstacles is education, the governor's affordability agenda, defending Maine people of the abuses. Oh, here we go. Defending Maine people from the abuses of the Trump administration is a headline in her press release.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
but
she
John,
says,
that lead there, despite our differences, I believe, or challenges, I believe that Maine is still strong. What a flaccid lead.
yeah, these are the three planks that she calls for: universal health care, which, I mean, we have that in Maine. Everybody in Maine can go to a hospital. You can't be denied care. You have Medicaid. There's nobody in Maine who goes for want of health insurance unless they're working for a living and can't afford Obamacare. So that's just her Senate campaign. Banning cell phones in schools so that you can't record your left-wing teacher ranting about Donald Trump, and then diversifying energy sources. So more of the same policies that have contributed to making Maine the third or fourth highest electricity rates in the country. Spectacular.
And by the way, I didn't
Spectacular.
hear her say the word nuclear whatsoever. And I
Well, of
understand.
course, nuclear's verboten. We can't talk about nuclear. I mean, I think we're gonna have to wait until the baby boomers die off before we can actually have realistic conversations about nuclear power.
Who knew? One movie in 1979 just killed the whole thing, which is amazing because like this modular nuclear technology should be something that the left is all over. They should be excited about this. It's trust in the science. It's hydroelectric. It's mobile. It's manageable. But it's not about being serious about the climate.
Well, I guess the Republican lawmakers did a press conference responding to the TV news and Maine Public Broadcasting. So we'll have to catch that at some other time because I wasn't able to find a feed online to bring it on. But maybe we can have a Republican lawmaker on the stream tomorrow for Maine Wire TV, and we can talk about it. But that's about all I have to say about this speech tonight. But I really do want to see videos of Mainers reading off their favorite portions of Janet Mills' speech. And they can send those to editor@themainwire.com. I just anointed you, Tom, the arbiter of Janet Mills' poetry videos. Unless you guys have anything else to say tonight.
No, I am still in the clouds with inspiration over the backbone and bedrock. So
we're going to climb the mountains that are the backbone of the people of Maine and perform abortions with Planned Parenthood. But we'll see you guys all tomorrow. 4 o'clock, we'll be live. Oh, what was that, John?
I was going to say, hey, Republicans, this is a good time to jump on and, say, hey, listen, you can't have another 4 years of a Democrat like this, because if you look at the candidates for governor, and maybe this will be the nicest thing I've ever said about Janet Mills. Janet Mills might be better than any of the candidates for governor, which is, a very low bar. But it might be even a step back from Janet Mills with the current crop of candidates that you have. So Republicans, let's go. Let's, you gotta win that seat.
Yeah. Well, I'll be interested to see what their responses are.
You want Shanna Bellows to be your governor?
Right. If Shanna Bellows is governor, I'll be running the Maine Wire from El Salvador. But we'll be live at 4 o'clock, Maine Wire TV, ready to break down Republican reactions. And I'm sure whatever the news of the day is, you can find us on Facebook. Just search for the Maine Wire. On X, the Maine Wire. Follow the Robinson Report, robinsonreport.substack.com. And check out our news every single day, themainwire.com. You can also sign up for the mailing list there. Did I miss anything, Tom?
No, that just about does it. Check 4 p.m. tomorrow. We'll have our recap. Maybe a Republican response as well. We'll see you then.
All right. Fantastic. Good night, guys.